Yeah, we can do that. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, on behalf of Jamboree, I would like to welcome each and every one of you for taking your time out and coming to attend this Jamboree's annual pre-departure orientation session. So we will like to begin with a small round of introduction. But just before a small mic check. So am I audible to all of you? You can respond in the chat. Okay, thanks for the confirmation. And is my screen visible to all of you? Okay, thanks a lot for the confirmation. So just a brief introduction. My name is Rajan Bhatia. I am the Vice President of Admissions in Jamboree Education. Been working with students for past years now in assisting them to realize their dream of a good study abroad education. With me today in the panel, I am been accompanied with Parth Arora, who is a rising junior at University of Illinois at Chicago, as he's pursuing his bachelor's in biological sciences. So Parth, if you can just introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you, Rajan sir. Hello, everybody. I am Parth Arora, and I'm from New Delhi. I am currently pursuing my Bachelor's of Biological Sciences at the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences in University of Illinois at Chicago. And I'm here to help you out with any questions you may have today.
Okay, thanks, Parth, for sharing that. Thank you. Then we have with ourselves another senior program advisor at Jamboree, Gitanjali. So Gitanjali, if you can just introduce yourself to the audience.
Hi everyone, it's Gitanjali. So I work with Jamboree primarily in the admissions, MS and MIM cell. And I look forward to answering and helping everyone out with their queries today. Thank you.
Thanks, Gitanjali. So after Gitanjali, we have our program manager admissions, Shagun. So who is also a part of Jamboree Education. So Shagun, if you can introduce yourself.
Yeah. So hi everyone. So I am working with Jamboree as a program manager. I primarily help students for their masters and MIM applications, and I'm looking forward to this event. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you, Shagun. And in addition to our Jamboree members, we also have people from the industry, so who are here to talk about some value-added services with all of you. So we have with us Prashant. Prashant Dambale is representing Casita. So Prashant, if you can give a brief introduction.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. And thank you so much, Ranjan, for introducing me. So basically, we are into the students accommodation services. So we do students accommodation in almost all the major countries, that's including UK, Europe, Ireland, Australia, Singapore. So we deals in the students accommodation, and we have a dedicated team of accommodation experts in India. And with the help of the team, we assist and we guide students throughout the booking process, throughout the accommodation process. And since we are into the accommodation services, so all of the services to the students are complimentary.
Okay. Thanks Prashant for that. So then we also have Nikhil Lasrado from Eldra. So Nikhil, if you can introduce yourself.
Thanks for having me here, Rajan. Hi, my name is Nikhil Lasrado. I lead partnerships at Eldra. We're a global neobank, and we're currently offering pre-departure, zero-fee US bank accounts for Indians before they leave for the US. This is not just zero-fee accounts, but you can also save up to $500 a year by using this account versus the traditional US banks. So over the course of today's event, I'll be sharing more details. But thanks for having me here. I'm very excited to be part of this journey of yours as you prepare to move abroad for your masters and further study.
Thanks, Nikhil, for that. So obviously we'll be talking about these services more in detail as we move on during the session. So then we have Sunny Juneja and Dayanand from Remitex.
Hi, thank you to Rajan sir. My name is Sunny Juneja. I am from Capital India from Remitex company. We are basically having a presence in across India. and for providing assistance to the students for the foreign exchange services, for transferring fees and for their living expenses.
Okay. Okay, thanks for sharing that. And then finally, we have Pinky Rana, who is representing HSBC Bank. So Pinky, if you can introduce yourself.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm on the behalf of HSBC Bank. So we are offering NR account and pre-departure overseas account, and we are offering a with zero balance and extra benefits for all the students and for their family members also. So we'll discuss about it later on after this call when we'll have a presentation time and all. Thank you.
Thanks, Pinky. So these are our panel members, so who will also be there during the question and answer session. So we will, just to set the tone for the session, where we will be presenting our presentation to you and all the information that we have in store for you, and we will also, giving you information on the other value-added services which we just mentioned in the course of the presentation. And I would request you to keep your question and answers at the end. So we will be having a detailed Q&A session, so where we'll be giving you adequate time to answer your questions, and then we will in the end break into different rooms where we will have these people from different service providers, where you can meet them personally and ask any of your queries that you may have. So without further ado, I think we can start now. So first of all, we would like to welcome you to Mazel Tov. So a lot of you would be thinking what Mazel Tov is all about. So Mazel Tov, does anybody has any idea what Mazel Tov means? What does it stands for? Anyone? You can answer in the chat box. Yeah, so some people are saying congratulations in Hebrew language. So that's more or less very close. So Mazel Tov means good luck, or as somebody mentioned, congratulations in Hebrew language. So we here in Jamboree would wish you all the best and good luck for your journey forward, which you are about to start a new chapter in your life. So it has really taken a lot of hard work of past 1 or 2 years, where you started your journey when you were preparing for those standardized tests like GRE, GMAT, SAT, IELTS or TOEFL, and then you were also, you had spent lots of time with Jamboree staff on shortlisting universities where you want to go for, then preparing a good application for you to get considered for the admission, and then once all is done, so also the final step of getting the visa in place. So I believe most of you are already through with the visa process. So if you are not, so I would suggest you to get the visa process done so that you are not late. So because the dates, the US visa dates and the dates for other countries are slightly occupied. So they are witnessing an oversubscription of visas. So I would suggest you to just take care of the visa process soon so that you can reach the university on time. So obviously the conditions in the past 1.5 years have not been conducive and has really led to a change of plans of a lot of students due to this COVID pandemic. But all is well that ends well, and we are sure and confident that you will go out to the university of your choice and come out of that with flying colors. So we wish you good luck on that aspect. So before we go into the further presentation, I would like to show a video to you of how does a normal university life abroad looks like. So just give you a sense of how the campus life looks like, what you can expect as an international student when you reach that particular university. So let me show you a small video for the same. Just give me a minute. Is the video visible and audible?
First year, just beginning to choose courses for your junior certificate, studying for your leaving cert, or a mature student, It's never too early to think about studying in the United States. Why come to the US?
Obviously, from Ireland to go to university in Ireland is normal, but this is just a totally different experience, and you won't regret a second of it. You get out there, you meet so many more new people, different country, by yourself, independence. There's a lot of pros to coming out here.
We pride ourselves in the kind of opportunities that are available, both not only academically but extracurricularly, and that's why when you visit a campus, you will not only see the library, but you might see a very impressive theater or an impressive gymnasium or something like that.
Students really like to be involved in extracurricular activities and do different things. So at my school alone, there's hundreds of clubs, there's hundreds of organizations, and everybody who comes here eventually finds something that they're really interested in and gets to pursue that.
While you may have heard of a few elite universities such as Harvard, Yale, and Notre Dame, there are almost 5,000 accredited institutions in the United States, each with its own specialties and strengths. Whether you're looking for world-class universities and professors, want to be on the cutting edge of various technological fields, explore a wide variety of subject areas, or simply experience life outside of Ireland, the United States provides all these opportunities and more. From sunny California to the Great Lakes in the Midwest, to bustling cities on the East Coast, the U.S. has excellent universities all over the country, in urban, suburban, and rural settings. Meet interesting and engaging students from across the U.S. and around the world and create lasting friendships. Experience the diverse cultures, foods, activities, and events that coexist in the United States like nowhere else. Go to a different kind of football game, write for the school newspaper, engage in community service, or learn a new language, all while living with other students in a safe, friendly, dynamic, English-speaking country.
I think another great thing are the cultural resource centers. So whether that is like a Black student center, Asian American student center, I think that those are resources that I think are very unique to American universities because of the diversity.
Since education is the most important piece of American college life, it's the reason you've probably heard of universities in the U.S. Many have state-of-the-art facilities and professors with distinguished careers in whatever subject you may be interested in. From archaeology and electrical engineering to microbiology and world arts and cultures. Often, these professors are conducting all types of research, as well as providing opportunities for undergraduates to participate. And with free electives and general requirements, students majoring in one subject area can usually take courses in any other department, just to study something they're curious about.
The reason I originally wanted to come here was because I wanted to study medicine. And in Ireland, you have to do a 6-year program, you go straight into it. But I wasn't sure that I wanted to study medicine, and also I wanted an opportunity to study some other things first. So I decided I'd come to America and do a 4-year undergraduate program and then apply to medical school. And as it turned out, I have dropped out of the pre-med program, so that's perfect.
Also, U.S. universities have special events such as presentations from visiting professors, prestigious scientists, politicians, and business leaders that offer more opportunities to learn outside of the classroom.
A lot of the U.S. schools are more well-known than Irish schools, so you do get very special people coming here. Like last year, Michelle Obama was here, went to see her, that was great. Joe Biden was here this year.
Grab a sandwich and listen to a lunchtime lecture. And because U.S. universities have everything from unparalleled academic resources to athletic facilities, you'll be equally free to pursue research in a high-tech lab and play Frisbee on a pristine pitch. At American universities and colleges, the student gets more than academics. Social life is also an integral part of the college experience. Students live in campus residences, eat meals in common dining halls, and partake in activities ranging from intramural athletic competitions to arts, debate, journalism, cultural groups, politics, and more.
Another thing is like the social makeup. There's things like fraternities here, sororities. Like we don't have them back home. They're just interesting. I find there's lots more clubs and there's lots more like college activities to do here. We try to create a sense of like family community between all the even between grades like freshmen and sophomores and stuff. So there's a lot of you'll never be bored. There's always an activity to do here. So I think that's a bit different from back home.
American universities are very dedicated to increasing the number of international students on campus. The international students are really asset to the American students in terms of their learning processes. And if you look at most universities, the actual percentage of entering students who are international students is growing. So international students should feel very welcome at American universities today.
There is no more exciting time in your life than when you have these 4 years to do absolutely nothing except take advantage of every opportunity that's in front of you. I cannot think of another system of higher education that is going to put more opportunities in front of you than in the United States. Just the way that the system is set up, the entire liberal arts curriculum and structure, study abroad, career services, internships, research, all of that is built into your experience at a U.S. university or college. And that's something that is so special and extraordinary that what you're able to get out of these 4 years, it's completely limitless.
Looking for what to do next? Check out some of the other videos from the embassy and get on your way to exploring the many schools the U.S. has to offer.
So this is what the US universities are there to offer. So just take advantage of the complete campus life, the extracurricular activities that are there in the universities, and just get full advantage of the international exposure that you get from these universities. But first things first, first of all, complete the visa formalities. So that is very important. So just take care of a I-20 if you're going to US. If you're going to UK, just take care of the CAS and complete the visa and apply for the visa on time. Book your air ticket. So the air ticket is very important. So you have to just check the distance between the airport and your university town and book the ticket accordingly, because sometimes the university towns are quite far from the airport. So you need to check the distance between your university and the airport and decide. And also in some places, if you book flights, for example, through London, etc., so you also have to have a transit visa. So just check all the visa formalities with your travel agent before you book your tickets in advance. You can also contact the Indian Student Association. So there are a lot of Indian student associations at each university. So they can also be quite useful in helping you with your pickup arrangements from the airport. Or sometimes there are also university options which you can exercise, and you can contact the university itself prior to your departure to take care of your airport pickup from the universities. Get a thorough medical checkup done. So just ensure that you have already fulfilled the immunization requirements that the universities may have. So just fulfill that and check for any appendicitis or gallbladder stones. Take some flu shots, hepatitis and some other general vaccination before you leave your country. And also just check the COVID vaccination requirements in the particular country that you're traveling. So ensure that you also have taken the COVID vaccination. So that is the new addition to the vaccination or immunization list for these universities or the country of your choice. So before, just to tell you, the parents have a lot of concern of how you will manage your finances while you are there abroad in the US or any other country. So how will they transfer the money to you while you are there in your university? Because these are some of the minor details which the parents have to take care of. And you also as a student don't want to interrupt your studies because of these small issues. So with us today, we have Eldra. So Eldra is a US neobank offering US bank account opening to you just before the pre-departure, before you depart to the US country of your choice. And they have accounts with zero fees, no minimum balance requirements, and free international transfers. So we have Nikhil with us today, so who is there to tell you more details on Eldra. So over to you, Nikhil.
Thanks for that introduction, Rajan. I'm actually just going to share my screen now and show you a brief presentation. And let me know if you can see this. I'm going in full screen now.
Yeah, we can see the screen, Nikhil.
And you can hear me as well. Okay, great. Yeah, so thanks for that introduction. A little bit of an overview about ELDRA before I tell you about the actual features. So this is the core founding team of ELDRA. As you can see, these are not guys who are like straight out of college. They have spent over 20 years in the industry globally. They themselves have graduated from top schools, both in India, such as IIM Bangalore, as well as in the US Ivy League schools, such as Chicago Booth and Dartmouth Duck. And they come with experience of having launched neobanks in the past. So our CEO, Sukit Shankar, this is his third experience launching a neobank. He was part of the core team that launched Marcus by Goldman Sachs in 2016 and Velo by East West Bank. He was the CEO in 2018. They launched this for the US, for the China market. And Sukit is of Indian origin. So he said, why don't I launch this for my own country? And that was the origins of ELDRA. A bit about the offering and how it's structured. So we are a neobank. Your bank account will be held with Blue Ridge Bank, NA. It's a national association bank in the US, 120-year-old chartered bank. NA stands for National Association, just like Citibank NA. It's a member of the FDIC, which means your deposits are insured up till the maximum allowable limit by the US federal government, which is $250,000 of insurance on your deposits. The parent holding company, Blue Ridge Bank Shares Incorporated, is listed on the New York Stock Exchange. So, a complete legitimacy there with a 120-year-old US bank. As far as your support is concerned, we have 24/7 concierge, right? Available both through email and a toll-free number. And we're also going to be introducing a live chat very soon. Security is completely there. You also get a MasterCard global debit card. I'll tell you a bit more about that. As well as the insurance. This is the maximum allowable US federal government insurance of $250,000 on your deposits in your account. A bit about zero fees. Many banks claim to be zero fees. Then they'll put an asterisk and there'll be a few lines of fine print. We have no asterisks and no fine print. It's genuinely a zero fees account. But let me just run through how it's zero fees in multiple aspects. There's no fee to open your account, right? You open your account in 10 minutes online. All you need is your Indian passport and you need to be above 18 years of age. There are only two requirements. I believe pretty much everyone on this call qualifies. Not just that, in fact, even your parents could open an account and you could transfer funds to each other peer-to-peer for free in USD. So I'll tell you a bit more about that. There's also no monthly fees, right? Absolutely nothing. We don't charge you anything on a monthly basis to maintain your account. There's also no minimum balance requirement. Many US banks will require you to hold a certain amount of funds as minimum balance on a monthly basis. And if you don't, you will be fined. We have no minimum balance requirement and therefore no fines either. You feel free to maintain it at zero balance for as long as you like. There is also a very unique thing about the ELDRA account, which is there's no wire fees. So typically you would be using an account in a way that either suppose you've taken a loan from a bank and they need to transfer funds into your account for living expenses, or your parents are sending funds to you on a periodic basis, so maybe both, right? In a typical scenario with any US bank, be it Wells Fargo or Chase or Bank of America, name the bank, right? They will all charge you a flat fee of $15 every time an international wire, let's say from India to the US, hits your account. You will see $15 deducted from your US account, right? We don't have any such fee, right? If $1,000 are transferred, you will receive $1,000 and you will not pay a $15 fee. We also give you a global MasterCard debit card that you can use not just in the US at 30,000 plus MasterCard ATMs, but also anywhere in the world, both online and offline at point of sale. And unlike a traditional US bank card that has what's called a foreign currency markup, let's say you swipe your card at the airport in the UK or while on vacation, or a trip in Canada or Mexico, anywhere else, they will charge you 3% or more every time you swipe. We have zero foreign currency markup on our cards, so you won't be charged this fee either. So just quickly explaining how it's zero fees and basically why you don't have to spend anything out of pocket besides 10 minutes of your time to open your account, 100% online. A bit more about the nature of the account. This is pre-departure, right? Unlike a traditional US bank account where you got to reach the US, you got to get your social security number, then walk into a branch, show all the documentation, apply. This is a good 2 weeks, 1 to 2 weeks after you land in the US. With an ELDRA account, you don't need a social security number. You don't need a US address. For that matter, you don't even need a US visa, right? So I know most of you have one now. Even if you don't, it's fair game. There's 2 qualifying criteria. You need to be 18 years of age or older, an adult, and you need to be a holder of a valid Indian passport. I'm sure pretty much everyone on this call qualifies. It's a 10-minute, 100% online account opening process. Just go to eldra.com and follow the steps. And all you need is your passport. You need to take a picture or upload a document of the first page of your passport, the photo page of your passport. That's it. Unlike a traditional US bank account, at least for students, US student banking accounts are typically 0 interest. They will not offer you any interest on any deposit, right? Which is unfortunate. We realize that you will be with Eldra for a long part of your journey, not just as a student. And from day one, we offer you interest up till 2% on your bank account, which is typically about 40 times a typical US bank interest rate, which is 0.05%. Right. So just letting you know that we value you even as a student, right? Even if you maintain a small balance, and we know that you will continue to use the Eldra account even when you graduate, it will become a salary account, right? So we're giving you the benefit of an interest from day one. Very quickly, spending about a minute on this slide, we want to actually call out the value proposition of how Eldra can not just help you have a zero fee account, but also save money, right? Spend 10 minutes of time, use your passport, open an Eldra account pre-departure. And once you actually land in the US, you will notice that on an annual basis, you can save as high as $500. Now, we're not making up these numbers. We've even given you the sources at the bottom. You can check the respective banks and their own offerings and how we compare. But basically, just going through it row by row, account opening fees, we have none. Some of the banks will charge you fees. Monthly fees, we have 0. Some of the banks will charge you monthly fees. International wire fees, irrespective of how many times someone transfers money into your account from India or any outside of the US, irrespective of what the value of those funds are, you will never be charged by Eldra. Every other US bank will charge you $15 or more. US banks typically on student bank accounts do offer 0 interest. We offer you interest up till 2%. So if you maintain an average of $5,000 over a year, you get $100 in interest, right? Overdraft. Now, this is a very important concept for you to understand. A US bank will typically allow you to use your bank account as almost like a credit instrument, and you can go into negative balance. Even if you have 0 balance, you can swipe somewhere for $100 and feel good about it. But the fact is that the minute you fund your account, you will be charged a flat fee of $35 for going into overdraft, into negative. So this is a predatory practice. We don't support it. We don't have an overdraft fee. We don't allow you to go into negative balance. Again, ATM fees. Let's say you have a Bank of America card. You can only use it at Bank of America ATMs, which are limited in the US. It's less than 12 to 15,000 across the 50 states. Eldra offers you a global MasterCard debit card, which means you can use it at any ATM that has the MasterCard, Maestro, or Cirrus logos. Currently, this is over 30,000 ATMs across the United States, where you will have 0 fees, withdrawals and usage. Again, foreign currency markup I'd explained. Typically, if you use this card outside the United States, you'll be charged 3.5% on every single transaction, right? Any foreign currency. Eldra doesn't have any foreign currency markup, so you save money there as well. So long story short, in a nutshell, if you just look at those figures on the last line, irrespective of which competitive bank you're looking at, a traditional US bank, Eldra will help you save up till $500 per year by spending 10 minutes of your time online, using your Indian passport and opening a 0 fee bank account with Eldra. And that's pre-departure there. So just leaving it at that, I know this is a very quick overview. We'll have a lot more Q&A. And then, of course, we have a booth as well. You can stay back and ask as many questions as you like. I will be here till the end of the meetup to respond to you.
Thanks, Nikhil, for the information on Eldra. So yes, we will be having, I saw some questions on the chat box regarding account opening for people who are not 18 years, above 18 years. So Nikhil will be taking those questions in the Q&A section. Plus, they will be having a booth separately at the end of the session. So you can ask all those questions in the booth section also. Okay, thanks, Nikhil. So moving on. So just to share some additional skills for survival. So just learn to cook, very important, because, when I can share this from my personal experience when I went to UK. So before that, I spent around 1 to 1.5 months with my mom in the kitchen and trying to cook, because that's a real, obviously you will have separate meal plans in the university, but for people who will be living off campus, especially the masters and the MBA students, whether in US, Canada, Germany, UK, etc. So learn to cook, because that will bring it quite handy for you when you are starving. And develop your MS Office skills like your Word, PowerPoint and Excel skills. No, because you will be, when you are there in the universities, you have to do a lot of presentations, you have to work on a lot of case studies, you have to do a lot of number crunching, data analysis. So try to develop your MS Word, PowerPoint and Excel skills till the time you join the university. So brush up those skills. I know most of you are already skilled at that, but for someone who is not, so try to do some online courses on these and try to brush up these lessons, because they will prove quite handy while you are there in the university and doing your program. So another very important question or need for students or parents is to find a good accommodation. So for people who are doing undergrad in the US, so obviously it's mandatory for first year to stay on campus. But for people, especially people who are going for masters, MBA in various countries, so finding a good accommodation is a challenge. So for that, we today have Casita.com in our panel. So they will also be having a separate booth later on. So Casita is a student accommodation booking platform where students and parents can choose around from 4.5 lakh already built student accommodation rooms in leading study abroad destinations, including India, Canada, UK, US, Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, UAE, Ireland, South Korea, Singapore. So you name the country, Casita has an accommodation there, and they will be soon expanding in Canada as well. So it provides support to the entire student journey, right from exploring the rooms. You can explore the rooms, you can see the rooms online virtually. You can also secure the room by choosing your tenancy duration. And it also guides you on the entire process of making the payment and signing the agreement right here itself. So you don't have to worry, so that when you go or land into the country of your choice, you already have an accommodation in place, and you know that what accommodation options, or you can just head into your state accommodation right after landing into that country of your choice. So Casita will be there at the end of the presentation in a separate room altogether to take care of your all queries as it comes to student accommodation. And I mentioned the name and email ID of the contact person later on after the presentation, maybe tomorrow or day after or next week. You want to have more inquiries on that. So Mr. Mukesh Ranjan is the person to contact, and that is his email ID and the phone number, where you can put all your accommodation queries for booking the accommodation. So moving on. So parents as well as students have a huge burden or huge thinking on what to shop, what not to shop. So there is a huge shopping list which is prepared before you go to the university of your choice. So we have compiled some good shopping tips for you so that you can prepare your luggage accordingly. So you can carry generic over-the-counter medicines like Disprin, Crocin, Paracetamol, Digene, Dettol, Band-Aid, Bernol, some cough syrup, and some anti-allergic medicines to take care of your early landing illnesses. So which are quite common once you land there. So you can also carry some crepe bandages in your luggage, and you can keep few Disprins in your cabin luggage, not in the check-in luggage, but the cabin luggage, because sometimes especially the night flights, they have become quite colder and lead to some headaches. So it is better that because they are long flights of 16 hours, 17 hours. So it is always better to keep a few Disprins in your cabin luggage to take care of that. You can also carry some books, obviously not all, because most of the books are already available when you go into the university of your choice as per the curriculum, but you can check with older students in the university, so to what books you can carry. So that will be quite handy. So that will save some of your cost. Also a pressure cooker if you want to cook on your own. So you can roam the entire US or UK, Europe, etc. It's very difficult to get hold of a pressure cooker in those countries. So you can carry a small pressure cooker from India itself. You don't have to carry a lot of utensils. So some basic utensils like spoons, ladles, plates, bowls, glasses, some small cooking vessels like a kadai or a frying pan or a rolling pin. So that would be quite handy. if you want to cook on your own. So these are quite handy when you want to travel abroad. Don't take forks and knives because they are not allowed to check in, or don't take some glass utensils because they tend to break during the luggage. So there is no point of carrying forks or knives or the glass utensils during your journey in the luggage. You can carry some basic spices like haldi powder, some garam masala, zira powder, some salt and sugar. Don't carry any seeds because those are not allowed in international flights. So you should try avoiding mustard seeds, rice, etc. because they are quite available in those countries. Don't take any tea or coffee because that is readily available abroad. So no need to book or fill your luggage with that. Don't take any things that would spoil or spill your luggage, for example, some oily pickles, etc. So try to avoid carrying that. Just to, initially once you land, so just you want to keep some snacks handy with you. So you can carry some 5 to 10 packets of matri or some other dry snacks for initial 2 to 3 days of your survival after you land, so that you don't starve. So it is always better to carry these. Some basic items which are quite expensive abroad are like your bed sheets, pillowcases, towels, socks, undergarments, sewing needle and thread, hair oil, talcum powder. So these are quite expensive abroad. So you need to save on some extra money by carrying these in your luggage. Avoid carrying very big items like shoes, blankets, woolens, because they would carry a lot of space in your luggage. So avoid carrying these in your luggage. And when also see your air tickets and how much weight allowance is allowed in your ticket, because you want to be under that allowance weight which is there as a part of your ticket. So some flights have some instructions on the luggage weight which you can carry. So some are 30 kgs, 50 kgs, some are even up to 60 kgs. So you have to be quite careful on the amount of luggage you carry. So which should be within the prescribed rules of your air ticket. So when you are purchasing ticket, so ensure you have good amount of weight allowance which is there in your air ticket. So just take care of this thing. So that was for the check-in luggage. So what you can carry in your cabin luggage? So you should carry a sweater or a jacket because it becomes very colder in especially the night flights. A pair of socks, 1 or 2 change of clothes, because sometimes the flights have transit. So you have to change a flight, you have to change airports. So 1 to take 2 extra change of clothes is always advisable. A small towel, like a face towel, is always better. A toothpaste and a toothbrush, so that you can rinse yourself while you are there on the airport. Some headaches or basic chill medicines during the flight, which can also help you take care of, avoid your headache, etc. All the money that you will be carrying, do not put the money in the check-in baggage. Put all the money that you will be carrying in your cabin luggage itself. And very important, your passport and the university admission letter and the I-20, or if you're going to UK, so your cash documents are very important. So your admission documents, your passport should be there in your cabin luggage. So try to put these things in your cabin luggage. Mostly the weight of these cabin luggage is around 7 to 8 kgs. So that is what you can carry in this cabin luggage, and carry at least $21 notes, because you have to exchange. So exchanging big notes, especially when you land, becomes a problem. So carry at least $21 notes. So that is very important. And also try to carry the less currency denominations rather than carrying big denominations. So carry some few small denominations also when you are flying abroad. So just to take care of your foreign exchange needs, so we have a person we are representing here by Remitex. So Remitex is a part of Capital India Finance Limited, which is licensed by RBI, and they are offering comprehensive foreign exchange solutions. And these are the various products and services they are offering. So foreign currency, they have a Forex card. So if you don't want to carry huge amounts of money, so you can carry a Forex card and put the money in that card, and you can just swipe it or withdraw money from the ATMs there. You can they also help you facilitate tuition fee payments for your university fee payments, living expenses for people who are going to Germany. As you know, you have to open a Germany blocked account. So they also help in that, and especially They also help with the GIC account of Canada because they are tied up with SBI and the ICICI Bank. So we have Dayanand from Remitex to talk more on the options. So over to you, Dayanand.
Thank you, Rajan and Team Jamboree to invite us for this presentation and provide us this opportunity to interact with your students. Good evening, my friends. Just a few seconds till I share my screen, presentation screen with you all. Is my screen visible to you all?
Yes, Dayanand, we can see your screen.
Sure.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Sorry, there was some technical glitch in between. Okay, my name is Dayanand and I drive the student segment for Remitex, which is a part of CIFL, as rightly said by Raju, which is a systematically important NBFC for Reserve Bank of India. Remitex basically aims to provide a complete student solution for the Indian students when they travel overseas, for which we have developed 3 important digital platforms for the students to customize their requirement. One is a foreign exchange portal for the students exclusively for B2C. The second one is what we call as VCIP, a video customer identification product, commonly known as video KYC. This is for the new normal today, where we wanted to take care of the safety and security for the student and for the employees as well. The third very most important product is our own Remitex blocked account. The blocked account is specifically for the students who are traveling to Germany, and it is officially approved by the Republic of Germany, External Office of the Republic of Germany. Apart from that, as Remitex is also tied up with third-party providers like SBI and ICICI to offer GIC as an account for the students, plus all our offline network branches across India. Now, it is our experience that we find that when it comes to study abroad, after completing all the formalities, the students are always stuck with a dilemma when it comes to a foreign exchange. Although we believe it is no rocket science, it's very simple, but still there are certain reservations that parents as well as students have. Like, for example, how do I pay a tuition fees? What is the safest way of carrying foreign exchange? How do I safeguard myself during this pandemic when I want to do, remittance to pay tuition fees? What is the maximum amount to carry? How do I open a German blocked account, or for that matter, Canadian GIC account, if seamlessly without any issues? Who can guide me in all these things, and so forth and so forth? We at Remitex would like to help you to step in over here and provide you acceptable solutions. When it comes to tuition fees, there are 2 usual methods. One is the wire transfer option, and the second is pay by a prepaid card. Remitex always advise or recommend the students to transfer tuition fees to their own account. Like, for example, Aldrara, now what we have, you can transfer your account, the funds to pay your tuition fees to that account. And from that account, you can pay your tuition fees. There is no charges as what is there at Aldrara. Similarly, we at Remitex try to help chip in from our side as well, wherein whatever remittance that you will be doing from India to your account in, to your checking account in US or Canada or Germany, we will ensure you that there is no nostro charges. There is no charges over there. This is one of the most important offer that we can provide it to the students, so that the student doesn't have to pay this extra amount. Remitex can also help the students to pay tuition fees through third-party tuition fees platforms like Flywire or Western Union, we can also help you to pay through that. When it comes to living expenses, the best option to use right now is to pay by prepaid card. Carry a foreign exchange prepaid card. We can help you out with a foreign exchange prepaid card. Very important, this product is offered absolutely free. There is no activation charges. There is no account to be opened with us. There is no deposit to be provided to us. Nothing of that sort. It is offered to you absolutely free on the merit that you are an Indian traveling overseas for higher studies. What we require from your side is only 3 documents. One is your I-20. Second is your passport copy. And third is your PAN card. PAN card is required because once you have a card, you can reload the amount as much as you want to your usage in overseas. If you want to pay your tuition fees as well, or if you want to pay your miscellaneous expenses, you can use this prepaid card. We at Remitex always recommend students to use mixed bag concept when they travel overseas for the first time. When you are traveling initially, during your travels, keep 10% of your funds that is required in hard currency notes. The rest you can put it on this prepaid card. There is no charges for swiping. It is absolutely free. 10% that you will be carrying in foreign currency notes, I completely echo what Rajan had said few minutes back, to use small denominations, because that would be helpful when you travel initially, maybe for a cup of coffee during your transit or to pay your taxi fare. So that is why you have to carry funds in small denominations. For the students who are traveling to Germany, we have our own very own product now for Indian students. We call it as Remitex blocked account. It is officially approved and accepted by the Federal Republic of Germany. And it serves as a mandatory document that is required as an evidence for sufficiency of funds when you are there in Germany. We are authorized by the German Foreign Ministry and it is available on the German Embassy website also. Some of the advantage of having a Remitex blocked account is it is completely digital, 100% safe and secure. The application process takes only 10 minutes. Most importantly, you can open your blocked account in your local currency. It is the only blocked account which has inbuilt funding options. And the third most important thing is most of the students who have taken education loan, you can pay directly through education loan to fund this account. This is completely dedicated to the Indian students traveling to Germany. As I said, Remitex aim is to provide all the solutions to the students, Indian students in particular, when they are traveling overseas for higher studies. With that aim, with that vision, we have tied up with 2 important players from India. One is an SBI Canada Limited and the other one is ICICI Limited. We can help each and every student to open the GIC account to these 2 promoters or owners of this product, GIC product. We have a dedicated person in Sunny Juneja who is right now will be present in the booth to help you answer your queries with regards to GIC payment as well. So he is a dedicated person for us, for the students who is going to open, who travel to Canada and wants to open GIC account. It is always our interest to ensure that safety and security for the students when it comes to financial product. That is the most important thing for us. So we have always shared some of the don'ts in our presentation across India, few of which is we believe that buying foreign exchange from unauthorized person or unauthorized agents is a savings through these people is a myth. It is not that easy, simple. We also advise all our students never to use a credit card or a debit card which is linked to an Indian rupee in India. For example, you have an account and you have a debit card which is an internationally accepted card, But when you are going to use it over there, it will be okay. You can use it, but then the charges is high because the bank will convert it, the INR into the foreign exchange, which can be as high as 5%, which was also rightly echoed by one of the panelists from Aldera. This is actually true, which happens. The third important thing is please don't share your prepaid Forex card, PIN number and ATM numbers with anyone, because if that is a thing, it is a complete loss. We cannot help you in this regard otherwise. The third thing, the other thing which is very important for our students to know is when you open an account, please check with your bank in overseas what is the cost for inward remittance. As rightly said by Aldera, and which I echoed it, there are certain charges which can be as high as $15 to $20 per inward. So you have to be very clear on this point. If there is no charges, I can assure you that there won't be any charges, nostro charges from our side. So that when you do a wire transfer to your account, you don't have to pay anything in between. When it comes to a blocked account, students who are traveling to Germany, please note, when you're opening a blocked account, please check if it is approved by German office. To check that, the easiest way is to check if it is available in the German embassy website. If it is available, then yes, it is approved by German Foreign Office. Second thing which you have to check is the credentials of the company which is offering you this product.
Excuse me, Mr. Dayanand, I think we can skip it and then talk later because I think we are short of time here.
Okay, I am okay. It is acceptable. Can I take 2 minutes just because this is the last?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, thank you very much, Rajan. The third important thing is that the cost that you have to take. There are two types of cost for a blocked account. One is the direct cost, which comes, which is the setup fees and the monthly service charges, as well as the buffer amount, and an indirect cost, which is a remittance cost that you will incur over here to send the funds, the banker's charges, the remittance period, or the refund. Most important, you have to understand what is the refund policy of a blocked account. We at Remitex, there is no refund charges. It is completely free. The remittance is absolutely free, so you don't have to pay for remittance as well. And with this, I would like to say thank you very much, Rajan, for the time, for the help, and to extend, to provide us that extended period. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, friends.
Thank you, Dayanand. Thank you very much. Okay, so moving on. So during your flight journey, so just ensure that you drink a lot of water to stay hydrated. So avoid coffee because that could lead to dehydration. Every 3 to 4 hours, take a walk because it's a long flight, so you want to stretch your limbs. It's very important for you to eat and so that you don't fly on an empty stomach, and sleep as much as you can to avoid any kind of jet lag that you might experience when you land. So sleep, force yourself to sleep as much as you can during the flight journey. Some entry preparations for you. So walk when you are at the port of entry. So walk confidently. Do not fidget or look over your shoulders often, and try to look confident. Make sure you have these things in your handbag: your valid passport, a signed I-20 form or the CAS, or your admissions letter if you're traveling to Canada, UK, US, etc. Your valid visa for these countries. Also carry your financial documents along with you, and the name and the contact information of your designated school official, including a 24-hour emergency contact number at your school where you're traveling. So make sure that you have these things handy when you land and you are approaching the immigration desk of the country where you are planning to enter. So these are very important from that point of view. At the port of entry, at the inspection booth, an immigration officer will ask you questions to verify your documentation examine your luggage and determine whether to admit you into the US or the country of your choice. So they might ask you the purpose of your visit. How long do you plan to visit this country? Where will you be staying? So just ensure that you have your accommodation address with you. And they will also ask you questions if you have the relevant means to support yourself in the country of your choice, whether it's US, UK, Canada, etc. So you need to carry your financial documents well to travel and show at the port of entry to the immigration officer before he allows you to enter into that particular country of your choice for your higher education. Once you land, sleep and get rid of the jet lag. So sleeping is very important. So force yourself to sleep at night because there is a time difference. So this time difference is more relevant for US and Canada because it's a 10.5 hour gap, but not that much relevant for UK, Europe because it's only a 4.5 hour difference. So not that much for UK, Europe, but for US and Canada, it's a long gap of 10.5 to, if you're flying to California, this time gap is as long as 12.5 hours. And then immediately I would suggest don't start looking for on-campus jobs. So just settle in. So once you have settled in, start looking for on-campus jobs and RAs and graduate assistantships, which are there available. So have a good rapport with the faculty. So have a good rapport with the faculty members because they are the ones who will recommend you for these RAs and TAs and GAs. So do that. So before we had a word with Eldera who do accounts on pre-departure only to US, but we also have today with us HSBC, so which you can contact for a bank account once you land into that country. So they are headquartered in London and they serve customers worldwide from offices in 64 countries, and they can help you open your bank accounts whether in Europe, Asia, North America, Canada, US, Middle East, Latin America, and North Africa. So we also have a booth of HSBC later on. So you can ask your queries on bank accounts in US or non-US destinations like Germany, Canada, UK, etc. Some tips to maximize your study abroad experience. Don't mingle with people from your own country because that is not what you are expecting to do as an international exposure. So try to mingle with people from other countries because that will enrich your cross-cultural experience and will also help you to make a global network of friends. So mingle with people from other countries. Participate in a lot of campus activities. So there are a lot of activities on campus. So try to participate in them. You never know how you might land up into an internship or an on-campus job through these activities. So when you are there in the university, there are a lot of clubs. So there is a engineering club, computer science club, entrepreneurship club, business club, finance club. So try to be a part of these clubs to maximize your study abroad experience. So these clubs are quite handy when you are there. The professors in the abroad universities are quite helpful and accessible. So you can approach them whenever you are facing any problem or issue in your studies or projects or case studies, and try to build a good rapport with them. Why? Because a lot of these professors are visiting professors from the industry. So these can be quite handy, especially when you want to approach them for an internship or a job later on for your studies. And the keyword is to network. So do a lot of networking, work closely with the career cells because they were the ones who will help you build your resume. They are the ones who will help you identify companies where you can work. So do a lot of networking while you are there on campus. So networking is the key. Some important tips. Plagiarism is a sin in universities abroad. So you should not fall into the trap because that will straight away lead the university to take you out of your course and send you back to India. So plagiarism is a sin. Do not copy assignments. Even if you use some material available on the internet, always give a source that this is the source from which you copied that particular assignment. Keep an eye on your grades because as an international student, your grades cannot fall below a certain GPA. So every university have their own GPA standards. So for example, most of the US universities have a GPA of 2. So try to maintain that every semester, because if you fall under the GPA, so then there's a high chance of cancelling your F1 visa and sending you back to India. So find out from your university what the minimum GPA is, whether you are in US, Canada, UK, Germany, etc. You have to maintain this certain minimum threshold of that particular university. So with that, we are at the end of the presentation. So we at Jamboree wish you good luck, and we wish that you take good advantage of the study abroad experience and come out with flying colors. And we also has this Jamboree alumni group on LinkedIn, so which have a lot of students who are there in the US universities. So you can join this LinkedIn group of Jamboree alumni group to get in touch with students which are there. So that will help you do a lot of networking. So this is the link jamboree.li/network. So you can use this link to interact with a lot of previous students which have been there in the countries like US, Canada, Germany, UK, etc. So that will be a good starting point for you to connect to these universities. So with this, I would just like to end with showing us with a small video to just to motivate you before you enter into your journey. So just give me a minute. So it is that one extra degree that you have to go in your life to take care of that. So just do well and achieve success. So before we start the Q&A session, so I would like to introduce two more members. So first I would like to introduce Ashwati. So Ashwati is the head of our undergraduate counseling division in Jamboree. So she has quite a vast experience in dealing with students. So Ashwati, if you can just introduce yourself.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ashwati Pan. I handle undergrad best as you embark on this new journey. Wish you all the very best.
Thanks, Ashwati. And along with Ashwati, we also have Anamika. So Anamika is one of the senior counselors in Jamboree for undergrad. And she has done her undergraduate education from Canada. Sorry, from US herself. So Anamika, if you can just introduce yourself.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Wishing you all the best. I hope that this was a learning experience, this orientation, and looking forward to answering your questions.
Okay. Okay, so we now open the round for question and answers. So you can type in your questions on the chat box or raise your hand. So we will give you mic access, and you can ask your questions. So Lahiri, you can ask your question.
Hi all. So my question is that at the port of entry in USA, what is I-94 and what is the DSO signature on I-20? I wanted to ask.
Okay. Anamika, you want to ask this question?
Yes, so you want to know about the I-94 at the point of entry, right? So the I-94 is basically handled by the Department of Homeland Security. What they do is they keep track of your comings and goings into the country, right? So your port of entry will be where you first land in the US. For example, if you're flying to, for example, LA, but via Boston. So your port of entry will be Boston. It will reflect on your I-94, the date you entered the country, where you entered it, which will be Boston in your case, and on what visa you entered. Okay. And this I-94 is basically a travel history of how long you have been in and out of the country, when these things happened, you're traveling, and also on what visa they happened. So if you enter a country on a student visa and then exit the country and then enter again on a tourist visa, that change will reflect in your I-94 record. That's what I-94 is. I hope I answered your question. If you have a follow-up, let me know.
How do we fill this? Like we fill it, or the US authorities, they themselves fill it based on our passport or some I-20 visa information?
No, it is based on your passport. So
okay,
yeah,
it is
it's automated. It's not a form that you have to fill. Yeah, no, it's automated. You can get this information on the Department of Homeland Security when you enter your passport number and your last name, etc. You don't have to do anything here. All you need to do is make sure you're traveling on the right visa and you're entering the country on a valid visa, etc. There's nothing else that you need to do here.
Okay. Then what is a DSO signature on I-20?
That is required in order for you to travel. Since the I-20 is required for you to travel in and out of the country, what the university does is they authorize you every year to travel on a valid visa. They basically go through your documentation and they validate the fact that you are eligible to travel in and out of the country.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
So Vipul, you can ask your question. Vipul Singh.
Hello.
Yes, Vipul.
Actually, I want to ask about the health insurance policy. Should I take it from the university? This is best, or I should take it in India? So many insurance policies are also there in India. I'm right now a little bit in hesitation. What should I have to do? Because in university it is almost 4 to 5 lakh I have to invest for the health insurance.
See, people, no, you can obviously buy it from India, but first of all, if you buy, but first of all, you have to check from that health insurance provider that whether the insurance policy is valid or acceptable by your university. Because if the university is not accepting that policy, so then there is no point of taking it from India. Then you have to buy it from the university itself. So you need to check that from the university where you're going, whether they're accepting that. A lot of providers are offering health insurance policies in India, but it has to be approved by the university you're going for.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Harshit Singh, you can ask your question.
Yeah, hi. I have 3 questions. I am Harshit's mother, so I had those questions which I wanted to ask. First is, if you're below 18, because next year he's going for undergraduation, can he not get an open account before he travels from here? That's my first question.
Okay, so so Nikhil, would you like to answer that question?
Yes, sure. Yeah, unfortunately, we are following very strict US regulations and we're unable to open an account for anyone, irrespective of whether they're an Indian passport holder or have a US SSN. If they're under 18 years of age on the date that they're trying to open the account, right? It will be matched by, date of birth on your passport, and therefore there's no way around that. Having said that, what we could, encourage folks to do is the parents can open an account, right? Anyone can open an ELDRA account. It's not just students. You need to be 18 years of age and have an Indian passport. Parents can open an account, make transfers, make payments on the student's behalf. And on the student's 18th birthday, they can open their own account as well.
Yeah, but the only thing is I was apprehensive was, Nikhil, if I can extend my question to you, would that be okay? If a parent...
Ma'am, you can ask another question, because we will be having separate booths with all these providers after the Q&A also.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. So we can also ask Parth's experience. Parth, what was your age when you went to the US for UIC?
Yeah, for me, I was 18 years old. So yeah, I was able to get my bank account open. But yeah, for me, they did not really need the SSN and everything. So yeah, but they did have the age criteria. So yeah, in that case, your parents or somebody needs to take the guardianship. But yeah, but I did not have to go through that.
Okay, thanks, Parth. So ma'am, your next question.
Yeah, so my next question was, getting a Forex card would be necessary for somebody to open an account. Then you get a Forex card. You can still have a Forex card without an account.
So I think Remitex is there, which offers foreign cards. So I think Dayanand can answer that question.
Thank you very much, Rajan. Ma'am, to have a Forex card, you don't have to open an account, no deposit. You just have to give the documents of yours. That is an I-20, a passport copy, and a PAN card. And we can have it delivered to you at your doorsteps. We can courier it to you. Or if you want, you can also visit our office and we can hand it over to you. That's it. There is no charges for this.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay. Thanks.
Is it okay?
Yeah, thanks, Dayanand.
Yeah.
So we can move on to Garima Pathak.
Yes, hi, good evening.
Yeah, evening.
My question is actually to Parth. Parth, I am also currently about to do my MS in marketing from UIC Chicago, and for this fall 2021 term. I'm not sure about the off-campus accommodation, though that was the only thing offered to a graduate direct student. Could you just, I don't know, but do you have any idea? How good is that? How good is the off-campus accommodation?
Yeah, sure. That's a great question, Garima. So yeah, we do have on-campus and off-campus accommodations. So so we have a lot of like locations where we have accommodations available off-campus, just nearby, like 5 minutes walk around campus. So yeah, we have like a Little Italy, we have Taylor Street around there. So yeah, you will get a lot of options around. And we also have the UIC Hollister Blue Line stop right on campus. So you will be able to like commute using the Blue Line and yeah, so you will be able to like commute to another off-campus location. Maybe that's a little far off. So that's something that may help you. But yeah, we do have on-campus locations like single student residences that are like specifically for upperclassmen and graduate students. So if you would like to connect with campus housing, you can connect with campus housing through email.
Thanks a lot, Pat. But we have been offered only campus accommodation. So I actually wanted to understand, like, are we supposed to pay for any of the utilities, or it is part of the fee that was given?
Yeah. So is it the off-campus accommodation through the campus housing?
That's what it's mentioned. Yeah, through the campus.
Yeah. So okay. Yeah, we do have 2 off-campus accommodations given by campus housing itself. They are the 2 locations like Taylor Hall, and there is one more. So yeah, you can I would recommend you email housing@uic.edu, and they will be able to answer that question specifically for off-campus accommodation. That's the best way to get an answer there in this case.
All right. Mine's at Pure Street, but I guess I think I'll just drop a message there. That makes much more sense.
Yeah, it's housing@uic.edu. Yeah.
Right. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot, Pat.
No problem.
Okay, so moving on, we can talk to Srijan Gupta. Srijan, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Srijan, you can ask your question.
Hello.
Yeah.
My question is for Eldera. So I just wanted to know that if I deposit more than 7 lakhs in my US account, which I'll be opening with Eldera, will there be any TCS to be collected?
Yes, Srijan, this is a fair question. TCS is completely at the originating end. It is the responsibility of your bank or the Forex entity that's allowing you to move money from INR to USD, right? Standard TCS applies if it's above 7 lakhs within a financial year, which runs from 1st April to 31st March. There's a flat 5% on TCS that applies on the amount above 7 lakhs within that financial year. Having said that, if you have documentation to prove that you have gained this, or rather this amount is gained from an education loan from an approved entity from Government of India, then the TCS on the amount above 7 lakhs is 0.5%. All this will be taken care of either by the bank that's helping you the remittance or the remittance company. There are over 20 banks and over 10 remittance companies that can help you, so please choose wisely. The process is exactly the same. These are RBI regulations. There's no way around it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So we can move to Aniket Rajesh Kale.
Hello.
Yeah,
sir, am I audible, sir?
Yes, Aniket.
Sir, so I have got admittance in SRH Berlin University. And sir, for that, I'll have to, I was searching for some accommodations and I'm not finding it. So what is the proper procedure to get an accommodation?
We have casita.com, so you can talk to them in their booth. Excuse me, so they might help you in finding a good accommodation for you.
Okay, sir. Sir, so when will the boot start?
Yeah, we are starting in 5 minutes.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, Samyak Jain. So Samyak, you can ask your question.
Thank you, sir, for giving me the opportunity. So my question is for Remitex team. I actually wanted to know what would be the currency exchange fee for transferring funds from India to US?
Okay, Samyak, thanks for this question. The charges, the fees for transferring the funds from India to US, there are 2 fees. One is the Nostro charges, and the other one is the bank charges. We have waived off all these fees to you. So there is actually no fees for certain amount. Suppose you want to move an amount of more than $5,000, so there won't be any fees for that. Have I answered you correctly? Was this your question, Sumit? Mr. Jain, was this your question? Have I answered you?
Yes, Dayanand, I think that was the question. So thanks. So moving on to Yukti Kapoor. Yukti, you can ask your question. Yukti, you can unmute yourself and ask your question. So I think Yukti is not there. So Tushar Raj.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Tushar, we can hear you.
Yeah, so the question here is that regarding the cell phone connectivity, if I will be taking my Indian cell phone and the SIM there, will it be working there as all the OTPs and everything will be coming on my Indian SIM? So I'm a bit worried about that.
Anamika, you want to answer that question? Hello, Anamika, are you there?
Hi, sorry, network issue. Tushar, would you mind just repeating? I missed the last part.
Sure, Anamika. So the question here is that I'll be carrying my Indian cell phone there, okay, and with the SIM, all my financial transaction and OTP will be coming on my Indian SIM, okay. So I just wanted to know how I can keep my cell phone and SIM active there in the USA.
Right, absolutely. So basically what you need to do is, if you have, you know, a lot of your bank stuff going on your registered mobile number, make sure that you keep getting some sort of amount recharged into your account, into your mobile phone account. For example, if you have an Airtel phone, make sure that you recharge it at the appropriate time so that it doesn't get assigned to someone else or it doesn't go inactive. Right? That is what I would recommend you to do. And of course, when you go there, you can of course get you know, a SIM card from the local a mobile retailer. But I would recommend, always remember, maybe mark your calendar or do something like that to remember that you have to keep recharging your Indian phone. Don't forget to recharge it. It will stay active if you do that.
Okay, and do I have to buy a new cell phone also or the Indian cell phone will work there in the USA?
Indian cell phones usually work with US SIM cards. Since Indian cell phones are usually not locked, right? So you will not need to change your phone. You will just need to get a new SIM card from there.
Okay, got your point. Thank you.
So moving on to Dhruv Arora. So Dhruv, you can ask your question. Dhruv, we cannot hear you.
Yes.
Dhruv, we can't hear you.
There is no voice, no sound.
Okay, so now we will just take up the last question. So before we open the rooms, so Yugal Joshi.
Hi, thank you, Rajan. Just a similar question which Nikhil replied, but it's for United Kingdom. The bank account, my daughter is a minor still, so she cannot open obviously, so we will have to open that account. Is something like ELDRA is available for UK as well, number one? Number two, these TDS and other things, do they remain same? Because I think RBI policies would work there as well. Yeah, thanks.
So Mr. Yugal, that Mr. Joshi, that no, obviously ELDRA is only into US, but we also have HSBC. So HSBC can solve that problem for you of a bank account in the UK.
Okay, thank you.
Because when I went to UK, I also opened my account with HSBC only, the student account. So it was a 5-minute process.
So that means initially we have to open, then after that, once the daughter gets, you know, she attains 18 or 18 plus, then she can open that.
Yeah, so we have Miss Pinky from HSBC. So she will be there, I think. So we will we will connect you to her for the same.
Yeah, thank you very much. That will be great. Thanks.
Okay, so no, thanks a lot, everyone, and no, I believe we were able to answer most of your questions. And thanks Parth and the panelists for taking their time out and answering the questions. So we will now move up into breakout rooms. So we have breakout. I'll just show you the format. So these are the breakout rooms we have. So we have Eldra, Remitex, Casita, and HSBC. So you can join any of these for the queries which you have on them, and they will be more than happy. And then we also have Gitanjali and Shagun on the Jamboree desk to answer any of your other questions which you have for the same. So thanks a lot everyone for attending, and I wish you all the best for your journey. And we have also put the link in the chat box for the breakout rooms. So we wish you all the best and do well in your higher education, and wish you a successful career.